Ah, this one. Oh, I missed this. I didn't stream Overwatch that day when this came out. This came out 2 days ago. Catching Sunlight. Prototyping Illari's abilities with the hero design team. So is this going to be like a deep dive into like actual game development? Because that is not my specialty. Illari has taken Overwatch 2 by storm, or rather by the power of 1,000 burning suns. We're incredibly happy to see that players are enjoying her gameplay, personality, and story. To provide a little more depth and insight on how Illari came to be who she is today, we on the Overwatch 2 hero design team thought we would share some of how her abilities were created through early prototypes. Heroes can be inspired by many things. Sometimes heroes are made from whatever prototypes of abilities we think are cool and have a positive impact on gameplay. Okay, I don't want to be that guy, but I actually talked about this somewhat recently on why this can be a problem in Overwatch. It's not a bad thing, but balance-wise, it can go real south real fast because when you make a cool ability because it's cool and like fun, and then you try to balance it for a competitive shooter, it becomes really hard to do. It makes Overwatch what it is. It makes it really fun, but as a competitive shooter, it makes it tough. Ana is a great example of this. Parts of her kit were made before her character and story ever existed. In Illari's case, we had a strong starting point because we knew we wanted to theme the hero around the sun. These themes inspired her abilities as well as her internal codename Solar. Prototyping is a journey through different questions, scenarios, and ideas. The goal is to test out and experiment with new things. We ask questions such as, how does this ability feel in relations to other abilities currently in the game? Is the ability making noticeable impact in a match? And are there enough options for counterplay? What does it feel like to get hit or miss with an ability? We'd like to offer a little insight into that journey and show you some of the prototyping that led to Illari as we dive into Solar's design journey. Please keep in mind that these abilities and videos were placeholders through her development. Prototype blind ability. Oh my god, like an actual flashbang? Thank god that didn't happen. One of the earliest prototypes we played around was the blinding ability. After all, this is a hero who gets her power from the sun. Solar would throw a grenade like a sun orb, or the spicy basketball in the video below, which would explode and blind enemies with its AoE. So, remember back in Overwatch 1, we had those cool creator tournaments where we didn't get to balance the game like competitively, but we got to do like an April Fool's kind of thing. I don't remember who it was, but they made it so that Wrecking Ball Mines flashbanged you, and your screen would just go black. Like, if you got flashbanged, your screen would just turn off for 3 seconds. It was crazy. It was so scary. Flashbangs, I do not think belong in Overwatch. Okay, let's see the video. Wait, it's the basketball. That's funny. Let me go full screen. Also, do you guys notice that Ashe's ultimate is Dragon Blade, has 250 HP and armor and Bio Nade and Sonic Arrow? Just saying, this is the buffs Ashe needs. That's pretty cool. We often use models that are already in the game while we're working through prototyping a new ability. That makes a lot of sense. Which is why Solar's model looks awfully similar when she's dunking on enemies with a basketball blind. The team experimented with the physics of this ability and how it would affect enemies. After a few changes, the team added the SFX of Solar jumping into the air and throwing the blind down on her enemies. In the end, we moved away from a blind ability because of somewhat hidden effectiveness and frustration caused when played against. That's a good call. Solar didn't feel a noticeable impact using blind, but the person getting blinded felt too much of an impact. We ultimately decided that a full screen blind was too much for the type of action flowing or build in Overwatch. That was the right call. You guys definitely made the right call on that one. Jesus Christ, thank God we didn't get that. Oh my God. Holy shit! Imagine Overwatch with shields and flashbangs. Good lord. Oh man, we would have been playing Valorant with shields. That is terrifying. However, the mobility of her leaping into the air felt very symbolic to a sunrise and was integrated into her finalized ultimate captive sun. You know, this is shit people don't think of. Almost like underlying meanings. Like, like some things like poems, they have underlying meanings in them. But people just, if you read them in school, you never thought about it. You're like, yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things I would think of. Like, the rising of a sunrise when you go into the air. Like, now it makes sense to me. Haven't thought about that before. Prototype healing ability and secondary fire healing. Solar's healing capabilities went through a lot of ideations and prototypes. One of the first ideas was an ability that created pockets of healing with a deployable drone. She would throw a drone grenade to allies, and the drone would hover over them to heal. So I'm assuming kind of like Baptiste Lamp. Oh, it's May's thing. Oh. Oh. That's kind of cool. I don't think it'd be that useful, but that's kind of cool. I like that. That's pretty sick. Pocket healing went through a lot of tweaks and adjustments. For example, one version provided more healing to lower HP allies, but was limited in mobility. Another provided a heal burst within the first second to give allies a little more flexibility regarding their placement. This was also a super fun iteration where the drones would automatically track allies. Wait, are they gonna like follow them around? That's kind of cool, though. It's almost like a Discord orb, but a drone. Okay, I see it. This type of healing mechanic requires a ton of management and attention, and we wanted something more strategic that allowed her to focus more of her time using the solar rifle. Then a eureka moment came while looking at a Torbjorn and Symmetra turrets. Oh my god. We tried a healing turret mechanic with Symmetra during a creator experimental card in February 2022. You know, I've always thought to myself, I wonder if they ever got ideas from our creator patches that we made back in the day. And example of that was like Reinhardt. Reinhardt's like hit, like the 250 slam, was my idea. I made it do 400 damage during that patch. So if you like bonk someone on the head, you insta-kill them. And eventually end up getting put in the game with the 250 hit. Now it's like 150 or something like that. But that was originally my idea. And there's been other ones that got implemented. Like, for example, the Wrecking Ball grapple timer was also my idea in my patch. And the Hanzo Sonic Arrow, like the, Storm Arrow bounce was Somju's idea because he wanted to bring back Scatter Arrow. So they found out a way to bring it back with not exactly Scatter Arrow, but with Stormbow. And so it ended up coming back in some ways. So I always wonder if they ended up using some of our ideas, but they did, I guess. And while it had multiple problems on her kit as a whole, players did enjoy the concept. You know, in some ways, I kind of think like when people really try to throw shit down creators' throats, like creators think they know more than devs, it's like, well, even like creators are also creative, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't know how to code a game in any way, shape, or form, but like sometimes we got good ideas, you know? Like, hey, don't shut us down. From this, the healing artifact was born. Initially a hit scan healing projectile, it evolved into what it is now in order to fulfill combat clarity and visual goals. Let's see. That looks pretty cool, actually. Very similar to what we got in the end. Am I crazy? Or I kind of like this one better than what it actually became. I think this looks cooler. I don't really like the big knob at the end of the turret, but that one looked cool to me. Solar secondary fire also came a long way from finish to start. The iteration was a burst heal that could pierce allies like Sojourn's railgun, but it was on a hefty cooldown. Oh my god. My brain couldn't understand what I just watched. That was a Genji blade getting shot out, and then being charged up with a Symmetra orb, being shot like it's railgun. We wanted to give her a simple secondary fire to encourage players to support through damage, but the lengthy downtime made this ability feel too limiting, so we pivoted to something single target, giving it a shorter cooldown. After testing various uptimes and cooldowns, we landed on a simplified secondary that could be used often. Solar Rifle's alt fire gives us what we were looking for, with the added benefit of pockets of healing with Healing Pylon. Prototype ultimate ability. There were a great many prototypes for Solar's ultimate, so we were only look at a couple of them within this blog. One of the first ideas sought up to 5 enemies near Solar to give them a debuff we called Solar Flares. Solar Flares would damage enemies, reveal their location, and increase their damage taken. Wait, what is the debuff now when you get hit by it called? Because Solar Flares sounds cool. Sunstruck? Yo, they should have went with Solar Flares. I'm gonna be real with you. Solar Flares would have been way cooler. Alright, let's see. Dude, are you getting smited by God? What the f... Holy shit! While its ultimate was cool to play with, it wasn't that cool to play against. The debuff paired with the damage was a little too much, and the chaotic nature of the ultimate was frustrating to play against. I could see that. Another iteration rifed off of Solar Flares, but the debuff was only applied to enemies within an area of effect, rather than targeting them automatically. The area would also heal allies, so there was quite a bit going on within that circle. Oh my god, what in the... Dude, this is like some like... What?
Let's give them their medicine.
Whoa. That was something. Okay. Many versions of her ultimate increased the amount of damage she dealt, but we felt those would better suit damage heroes. We wanted to encourage players to support their team by enabling and finishing off opponents, but some of these early ideas were doing a little too much damage. We kept revisiting the status effects inspired by the sun, which kept theme to her personality and gameplay. Captive Sun's status effect keeps the ultimate ability attack oriented, while also encouraging team play to get as many detonations as possible. In a way, it's a damage enhancement effect with a condition and a delay. Yeah, I guess their goal all along was to have like a damage ultimate, so I could see what they were going for. From Solar to Alari, taking a hero from prototype to game requires a ton of collaboration and coordination across almost all of Team 4. For those who don't know Team 4, it's the designation inside of Blizzard for the Overwatch team. Although many prototypes never make it out of pre-production, it's always good to keep them for key learnings. After all, you never know how these abilities may pop up back up in-game. In the end, we are pretty happy with where the Solar prototype eventually became Alari, the last child of the sun. Our team learned a lot from Alari, and it's incredible to see the community get to know her and play her in-game. Thanks for sharing all the feedback and awesome gameplay. We hope you continue to have a blast with Alari. That was pretty good. Honestly, a lot of these were really cool, and I could see like this. I could totally see this coming back as a different ultimate. Like it reminds me almost of Flux. and like being smited in some way, I could totally see that come back in some way. I think that might be, I don't know. I can see that being cool. Something that they do in the future. Who knows?